Beauty and the Beast. Once upon a time there was a beautiful girl named Belle. Belle lived in a village with her father, Maurice. The village people found them to be rather odd. They never quite fit in with society. Maurice was an inventor. He had grandiose ideas of what he could create, and he often believed that his inventions worked, or would work, even when they did not, or he was given information that proved his inventions would not work. Maurice isolated himself. He stayed in the basement of his house working on his inventions and rarely had any interaction with anyone besides his daughter, Belle. Belle also danced to her own rhythm. She frolicked about the streets of her village singing to herself. No one ever really had a problem with Belle, and many admired her individuality, but she really did not have many friends. There was one gentleman, Gaston, who was enamored by Belle and her unmatched beauty, but no matter how much he pursued her, she was not interested in forming a relationship with him. One day Maurice disappeared. The voices in his head told him that there was a fair on the outskirts of town, so he took his latest invention and made his way through a path through the woods. When Belle got home from her normal morning outing, she noticed her father was gone and became extremely frightened. She was convinced that he must have been kidnapped or attacked by wolves, so she also took to the woods to go looking for him. That's when Belle stumbled upon an abandoned mansion. She knocked on the door, but there was no reply. She opened the creaky door and went into the abandoned mansion. She yelled out, but again there was no reply. She walked up the large staircase and entered the room at the end of the hallway. Right when she opened the door, she heard a voice. Not just a voice, but it was a growl. It sounded like some kind of wild animal. Frightened, she jumped around to see a giant beast dressed in a suit staring back at her. The beast exclaimed that she better get out of the room immediately. Terrified, Belle ran back down the staircase and into what appeared to be the kitchen. Belle sat down and cried. She was lost and scared and didn't know what to do. That was when a teapot came to life and brought Belle a handkerchief. The teapot told her that the beast was indeed friendly and that all would be okay. It was not just the teapot who could come alive, but the teacup, the clock, the candlestick, and more. Belle spent several days in the abandoned mansion with her new-found friends. She even began to fall in love with the beast. The teapot was right. He wasn't so bad and mean after all. Finally, the people in the village became a bit worried. They hadn't seen Belle frolicking through the streets, and when they went to her home, no one would answer the door. Gaston sent out a search party to find his love. Gaston and several other men took off through the woods and came upon the same abandoned mansion. When Gaston walked in, he saw Belle dancing alone in the middle of a room. He was relieved to see that she was alive and well. Gaston went towards Belle to pick her up and take her home, when Belle screamed and pushed him off her. She declared that she would not leave, since she was indeed in love with the beast and had plans to spend the rest of her life with him in the mansion. Gaston tried to convince Belle that there was no beast, and that she was imagining all of this, but Belle called upon the teapot and the clock to be her witness. In the end, Gaston was able to scoop hysterical Belle off the floor of the mansion and carry her back to her home, where she stayed for the next couple of weeks. Everything eventually went back to normal, and Belle and her father lived out the rest of their lives in that house in the village. The end.